Hi, I'm Miss Nola, the owner and artistic director of Fluid Motion Dance Academy. If you didn't watch the other videos listed on our website going over our educational programs, I did just want to introduce myself if you're here to learn about our competitive programs. I still wanted to give you some background information on us if you didn't watch that other video, but I started the studio in my basement in 2020 and we quickly grew to 87 students. Now we're at over almost 250 students. And we're super blessed with our studio space that we have right outside my neighborhood. We are doing another expansion/renovation this summer. This will be the third one since we opened and moved to this location. We've been here, this is our 5th year here and our 6th year in business. So at our at Fluid Motion Dance Academy, like I said, we want something for everyone. We have something for everyone, and we really try and tailor fit our dancers' training to their interests and their goals. We really like having a personalized approach, and that's why we have our Fluid Motion competitive companies for those dancers who want to take their dancing to the next level. Our Fluid company is designed for our students who are interested in performing many times throughout the year, but maybe aren't quite ready to go all in on doing multiple competitions. It might be their first year, or maybe they do other activities and need something that's more flexible. That's the great thing about our Fluid companies. So our Fluid companies, they have 3 showcases. If they're part of the conservatory, they have Nutcracker Performance and the opportunity to be part of our spring ballet, which is around spring showcase. And then they do one competition. And then usually they do have the opportunity to also do one community performance. So that's for our Fluid companies. For our Motion companies, those are for dancers who are really all in and they want to take their training a little bit more seriously and have lots of opportunities to perform. So these companies, Motion companies, they have 3 FMDA showcases. If they're in the conservatory, they perform in the Nutcracker, and then they have the opportunity to do the spring ballet. And then they have 4 competitions, 4 regional competitions that are required and local. And then every year we do an optional nationals. It is invitational only. It is optional, so we invite those students who had great attendance, who worked hard in rehearsals, who exhibited our team values. So our goal is obviously to invite everyone. The only reason your dancer may not be invited, and it would obviously be a conversation before these invites even went out, would be, maybe they had missed a lot of technique classes and didn't get those made up, XYZ. But obviously we have certain company requirements based off of how many rehearsals and technique classes you need to be in order to compete anyways. So the rule is if you miss 4 techniques of any kind, because everyone on Fluid and Motion companies are required 2 techniques. Okay, I'll get more into that in just a minute, but you're able to miss 4 of each of those. Once you miss 4, then you have to start making it up and you have to keep the limit to only 4. So my recommendation is just make them up as you miss them. They are paid for, so you might as well make them up. And then the same thing goes for rehearsals. If you miss 4 rehearsals, any rehearsal after that has to be made up. And they make those up in open studio time or open gym time, and they just come and practice their dance in the open studio so that we know that they're rehearsing it for the length of the time that they missed rehearsal with the group. Because it does make a difference. Attendance is really important, and we really strive to teach punctuality and accountability to our students for being at practice, because that is part of it. We have to practice together as a team, and we have to train together as a team in order to be the strongest team that we can possibly be. And that is the biggest focus here, is being a team. So with that being said, we're going to go into kind of how our Fluid and Motion companies are broken out. We do have conservatory umbrella, commercial umbrella, and acro umbrella. These umbrellas dictate which technique classes your dancers are to take. Now there's a few caveats. 1, if you're in commercial and conservatory company, the conservatory company requirements trump the commercial company requirements. So you don't have to take double. Does that make sense? And then same thing with acro. Acro, your dance technique, if you're like on conservatory, some people are on conservatory commercial and acro. Well, you have to do the acro team requirements, and then your dance requirements for acro team cross over within your commercial and conservatory requirements. So I'm going to go first start with commercial and what those requirements look like, and then I'm going to move through the other styles that we have. So commercial would encompass jazz, hip hop, musical theater, character, those type of styles. So if you're part of one of those commercial companies doing one of those styles, you're required, if you're a mini or petite, you're required one ballet technique class, one ballet rep. And then you have one rehearsal in addition to that. Now, petites, they have 2 rehearsals, but they're both only required, minis and petites are both only required one technique class, and that is ballet. Now, they can add jazz if they would like, but ballet is the foundation, and we have to have ballet in our training in order to be successful. So our juniors, teens, and seniors, they have the same requirements, and they are to do one ballet rep and one jazz rep if you are on commercial. If you're on conservatory, you're required 2 ballet rep. So therefore, you would take 2 ballet rep. If you wanted to add a jazz class, if you're on the conservatory program, you can, but that's optional. Okay, so whether you're in fluid or motion companies, your technique requirements are the same. The only difference between fluid companies and motion companies are the number of performances or the number of competitions you're attending. That being said, when you get to our middle school and high school teams, so those are our preteens, teens, seniors, those age groups, they are called fluid motion companies. And that means that means they are combined. So if you are, and we consider them rosters. So if you are auditioning for, teens commercial company, you would select that on your audition form, and you would just select you're interested in fluid or you're interested in motion. So we create the dances so that it makes reblocking them at the events where not everyone performs together. Sorry, let me rephrase that. So they're in the same routines, and then we reblock them for the 3 performances where not everyone attends, with just the motion cast. And those are done in separate rehearsals outside of their regular rehearsal time, and those on motion rosters have a separate fee within their company fees to cover those extra practices that we're going to do. But the formations are very much designed so that it's not a ton of things to really rework, and it's a really good skill for the dancers to be able to do because people get sick, people get injured, and you have to be able to adjust formations accordingly. What also is helpful about having the rosters within and the team being combined is we are one team, and we want all of our middle schoolers to be able to dance together. Sometimes it's just not feasible for people to attend 4 competitions, but that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be dancing with these dancers. So we really want to make sure dancers are being challenged, they're dancing with kids their age, they're given opportunities to perform as much as they possibly can. And sometimes it's a financial thing. Sometimes it takes students longer to pick up their choreography. So sometimes we may not feel a student is ready for the motion roster yet. So it's a stepping stone for them. So if they're a little newer to competition, it just gives them longer to perfect the choreography before we get to the competition stage. We often, which happened this year, almost everyone on our fluid rosters, we asked if they would want to move to our motion rosters, and some people did and attended more comps with us, but some people couldn't just based off of prior commitments and being in multiple activities and needing the flexibility. So it's a really great system we have here. It's kind of similar to some of the high school dance teams around here have what they do game day and comp within like their JV and varsity team. It's very similar setup. We just call it our fluid and motion companies. And we think of ourselves as one team, and it's been a really great experience. This will be our 2nd year doing this. Last year was our 1st year doing it, and it ran super smoothly, and we've gotten great feedback, and we really can't wait for the next season to roll this out. With that being said, I'm going to go into our conservatory requirements. Our conservatory students, as I said, if your age is junior and up, you have the 2 ballets. If you're in acro, you have, and then if you're an acro team, you have 2 acro technique classes, and then you can take either a ballet rep or a jazz rep. And then they also have a longer rehearsal time for their routine because there's like stunting involved, and there's just a lot more that goes into an acro routine, safety and things like that. So that's why we have those rehearsals longer. So overall, the technique requirements are the same for most of the age groups except for the minis and petites. The number of events that they attend, no matter their age group, is the same. The last thing I wanted to just touch on here is solos, duets, and trios. So a lot of friends like to participate in those, and those are a great opportunity to work in smaller groups, to work individually, to have one-on-one weekly sessions, to work on technique within a routine. And it's just a really good way for dancers to either stand on their own 2 feet in a solo and really find their own artistic voice through that experience. Or like I said, develop a closer friendship and working in a small group, because we like to correlate everything we do here to something in life. And in life, you have a big team you have to work with sometimes when you're in a job, and then you also have smaller teams within that you work with as well. And this kind of gives them that opportunity to learn how to work in small groups with people, but also learn how to work in larger groups with people. And through our production process, through our productions that we have, it also gives them the opportunity to work with a variety of ages, because in life, when you're in a job, there are some people who are 20 years older than you. There's sometimes people who are 10 years younger than you, and you have to learn to work with different age groups, and learning it when you're a kid is a great way to be able to transfer that when these students go off and graduate. So I wanted to go back a little as far as the routine. So each company, whether you're in fluid or motion or any of the genres, you have the same amount of routines that are required. So our minis are required 1 routine, our petites and everyone else are required 2 routines, and one of those routines is production, and we will be separating our production from juniors and under, and then preteens and up, so like middle school, high schoolers, and then elementary kids. So 2 productions next year. We will do an opening number, and we're going to learn this at our summer intensive. And this opening number will just be performed at Showcase. We'll wear something pretty simple. We will have you order it off Amazon or something like that. Wear black dance shorts, jazz shoes type of a thing. But it will still be well thought out, and it'll be something that they run in their production time slot. And then we will, something new next year, which I'm excited about, which is just a bonus and something that we're doing to give you guys more, is we are going to do 1 practice a month called All Team Practice on Saturday, and it will just be 1 a month where they come up and do extra technique and get to show each other their dances and things like that. The cool thing is we're actually not charging you for this. It's just going to be an extra bonus. I'm going to be donating my time 1 Saturday a month to come up and give each level a technique class, as well as let them run their dances for each other, and it will just give them more opportunity to bond, also get extra technique in, and that's when we will run the opening number as well. So they're still getting practice with it. So going back to, so just to also talk about production minis, if you're interested in production, just please put that on your audition form, because then we can let you know if we feel that that would be something that they would be ready for. Productions are really hard because there's a lot of people, and so sometimes just at that age, it can be challenging. So we just want to make sure that they're ready for it and that it's something that they're going to enjoy, because yes, we want them to be challenged, but sometimes too much of a challenge can just lead to shut down at that age, so we don't want that. So we will definitely let you know, if we decide, hey, we think they should wait another year before doing production, or yeah, they're definitely ready, and we'll let you know after auditions through that. We have a lovely pricing guide on our website as well that also goes over the breakdown, but how we do payments here is you're going to pay your Intensive fee at time of commitment. Okay, everyone does intensive except minis. So whether you're fluid or motion, everyone is required to do the Fluid Motion Company intensive. This is a great time of year for dancers to reconnect from being out over the summer, as well as jump back into their training. We get to explore in different choreography that we're interested in using in some of their routines. So it's kind of like a taste of what they're gonna see in choreography. And the first, like they said, the first 2 days is when we'll learn the opening number. So those not required, sorry, and I feel like I might have misspoken a tiny bit. Okay, so for fluid roster members or fluid company members, only the middle schoolers and high schoolers are required to do the intensive. For motion team, all are required to do the summer intensive. Okay, so hopefully that clears some things up. It's also on the info on the website specifically. I just misspoke. So sorry, rewinding these videos. Okay, yeah, so your summer choreography, so if you're doing intensive, your intensive is due upon commitment, which will be July 15th. Then you have your summer choreography fees due August 1st. Then we take all of your showcase fees if you're doing Nutcracker, and all of your competition entry fees, if you have reblocking fees, our banquet fee, all of that gets wrapped into what we call our company fee, and that is paid 6 times from October to February. So October, November, December, January, February, 5 times, February 5 times on the 15th of each month. So your tuition's due the 1st, and then you have your company fee the 15th of each month from October to February. And then the other, and then your costume fees are due September 15th. So you have a July payment, an August payment, then you have your first monthly tuition payment on September 1st, then you have your costume fees September 15th, then starts the tuition, and then your company fees on the 15th. After February 15th, you will have no more company fees. However, if you are attending nationals, you will have your nationals fees due around April 1st at the latest. I would say somewhere between March 15th and April 1st is when your nationals fees will be due if you're attending it. Now, if you're due, we will be offering optional conventions and another optional regionals competitions for solos, duets, and trios. We will also be offering YAGP next year as an optional competition for conservatory dancers. Anything optional will be paid separately and at the time that you commit to it. Just as like a reminder, anything that you sign up for outside of what's required, you'll pay upfront at that time, or usually there might be some sort of payment plan listed, things like that, but it won't be like tied back into your company fee because that's just too much. So we hope that explains how everything works here for our fluid motion competitive companies. I know we have a lot going on with the commercial style and the conservatory style and the acro style. And then we do still offer silks, and we will be offering them to do a virtual competition and things like that, but we'll just keep that completely separate and won't go down that rabbit hole. One other thing I did want to mention, one other caveat, if you're still listening almost 20 minutes in, for our high schoolers, who have already had 3 years of ballet with FMDA, we will allow them to, if they're only in the commercial side, we will allow them to substitute their ballet class for our ballet bar conditioning class instead, which is like bar Pilates, essentially. And that's only if they're in high school and they've had 3 years of FMDA ballet, so that we know that they have proper technique and that we can still keep everything nice and strong through the conditioning work if they're not in love with ballet. So we definitely want to meet our dancers where they are, but we also still have to provide them the fundamentals and the tools to be successful. And sometimes when we're doing something we love, there are things that we have to do that we don't totally love in order to be the best that we can be at what we really, really do love. So I'm a firm believer in that, we're not going to love everything, but as long as we're enjoying 80% of what we're doing, sometimes things are hard, and the other 20% of the time, we maybe aren't wanting to do it because it's hard. Ballet is hard, and a lot of the things we do here, jazz is hard, and we're gonna, like I said, push our students to be the best that they can be, and if that means we need to put them in a conditioning class instead of doing traditional ballet after they've had enough experience, we're going to do that so that, they can excel in where their interests are. Not everyone wants to be a ballet dancer, and that's okay. And we strongly feel after 3 solid years and being mature enough as a high schooler to know, okay, I'm really in on commercial dance. I want to do jazz and maybe you enjoy lyrical and contemporary. Those do still need ballet, but we will, like I said, at a certain point in someone's training, you have had enough of it, and we can move forward and find ways to cross-train and maintain the quality of technique we need to be competitive. So that is that one caveat that I didn't mention. I know I was speaking about solos, duets, and trios, and I might have gotten a little off topic. Sorry, my ADD brain. But solos, duets, and trios, they are required one additional technique class. It can be in the style of choice, but it has to be ballet or jazz based. The only other thing of that is if they're doing duets and trios, we try them to pair them with if they're a fluid member or a motion member, and those are required to attend all competitions that are required for those companies. Soloists have the option whether if they're on motion but they can only want to do one competition, that's totally fine. That just has to be designated on your company acceptance form so that we can make your company fees appropriately. If you decide last minute you still want to enter it, we can do that, but again, we can't guarantee things. We do have to reserve spots in advance in order to guarantee them, and we pay deposits in September to hold all of our places, and they're expensive deposits, and we have to be very specific about the number of routines that we are bringing so that the competition can plan accordingly for each studio. So I hope I got everything. If I didn't, of course, please reach out. We are happy to talk with you guys. We have an informational meeting on April 25th from 3 to 4 p.m. at the studio, and that is a great time to just hear more about the company, ask questions, meet our staff. And then auditions this year are also a little different. They're going to be 2 days, kind of in the form of like a mini camp. I'm really excited about it because we'll get to see the dancers interact more together. Also a way we're giving you guys more because they are getting a lot more by coming 2 days for a couple hours than the hour and a half audition that we were doing before. So give me 1 second. I'm just pulling up the audition times, but auditions are going to be June 6th through 9th. There is a $35 audition fee, but again, they are getting more time with us. On July 6th and 7th, we have our minis, petites, and juniors. And on July 8th and 9th, we have preteens, teens, and seniors. So each day, so our minis, petites, and juniors do 2 hours on July 6th and 2 hours on July 7th. And then our preteens, they have a 2 hours on July 8th and 9th. And then our teens and seniors, which are ages 15 and up, they actually have 3 hours on July 8th and 9th. From those times are listed on our calendar. And we'll also be out on a flyer as well. So please do sign up for your audition. Audition fees are due at time of registration, and those are non-refundable. So please do when you decide to sign up, make sure you know you want to. And that just helps us plan accordingly and pay our staff for their time and their preparation with combo work and things like that for us to have a successful day of learning and observing our students together. So again, for the third time probably. I hope I got everything finally. And with that being said, we're really excited for next season. Oh, I did miss one more thing. New this year, all dancers are required to also take a class. For minis and petites, it's one technique class over the summer in the 6 weeks, and then for juniors and ups, they need to take 2 technique class, 1 ballet, 1 jazz. And this is just because they are going to get all of June off, and taking the whole summer off from taking technique is only going to set us back as a team. And we are at a competitive level. In order to maintain the skills we just worked super hard for, yes, we're gonna rest and we're gonna have all of June to do that, but then we're gonna come back for 6 weeks. And it's just, like I said, one night a week. You can get your 2 technique classes in or 1 technique class in, and it will help you stay connected to your dance friends over the summer, and most importantly, keep your kids active. And either they're upping their skills, which, I mean, you can, once you hit a peak, you just keep going. So that's the goal, is to keep upping our skills over the summer, but at least maintaining them. We're definitely maintaining them, but the goal is just to keep upping our skills every chance we get. And that's because all of our students come and work super, super hard in class. And so it does show. This past year has been the best year for our students, and we just can't wait to see us continue to grow as a team. And we thank you all so much for your support. If you've been with us from the beginning, it truly means everything to me. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little emotional, but I have poured so much into the studio and these companies, and it's truly an honor to work with all these students. It's not just business for me. You know, these students we really care about, and just really love seeing all of their hard work shine on the stage and seeing all their personalities and the confidence that they grow. Dance has been a big part of my life. And it will always be a part of my life. And it was definitely a gift given to me from God and from other people who've even helped paid for me to dance when I was growing up. So trying to make these teams as affordable as possible is a mission of mine, and I feel like we have really accomplished that. I'm not saying that they're cheap by any means, but I definitely know that they're a lot more affordable than other places around. And so we're here to help you out. We're here to meet you where you are, and we are a community. So we hope, if you're new, that you find yourself and you find your people, because like I said, we're one big family here, and we look forward to meeting you if you're new at the info meeting, and we look forward to connecting with those families who's been with us just to see you face to face. Sometimes it's a little busy around this time of year, but it'll be nice to gather and talk about all the fun things we're going to be doing in the future. So again, thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you at the informational meeting and hopefully at auditions.